we've got everyone that should be joining us. So I'm going to share a screen and we're going to get started. I know we've all probably got busy days ahead of us, and I know Rox and Liz at the end of their day. So let me share a screen quickly. Give me one seckie.
What time is it for you guys, Liz and Rox? Is this time work okay for you?
It's earlier for you, Rox, isn't it? It's 5:40 for me.
Yeah, it's 10+4 at the moment for me. So yeah, I'm still during the workday, so it's good.
No, fine for me too.
Cool,
I prefer it to freezing cold mornings in winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's good.
Cool. Perfect. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining this morning's town hall, the evening for you guys. What we're going to be going through, so just some nice stuff to show today and some nice things to discuss as well. So I don't think it's going to be a hugely long session, but yeah, we wanted to, one of the crucial features or builds part of the recent sprint was just taking you guys through where we are with user roles. So we've got a nice little sneak preview, and we'll show you a bit of a video update of that. So I know there's been quite a bit of asking around that. So we'll take you through as well. We're going to talk a bit about and just recover some of the, the new and old site plans, just discuss, switching to the new unit models. Also, what we're going to be taking you through is just some of the work that Luke and the team's been on, is just how we can, we just want to incorporate Siteglide and Sitegurus together a bit simpler, just to ensure, when new agencies need any help, how to get help from Sitegurus, just to make that process a bit easier. So Luke's going to talk you about some of the kind of, not rebranding, but how we're making the synergy a little bit closer between ourselves and Sitegurus. And then what we'll do is we also just want to kind of just rehash and relook at kind of how everyone's feeling about the new reseller model. If there's any questions or feedback, just about the experience up until this point. So any sort of questions, any sort of frustrations we go through. And then at the end, we'll just do the usual and we'll discuss any other business on that side. So some nice things to cover, just some interesting things to go through, a couple of things around the new some new builds in the product. But what we're going to first do is we're going to quickly just go through, and there's a nice little video to show on the user access and user rights. So let me just make sure I'm sharing. Let me just actually, where is this now?
It did show okay.
I'm just worried. I just want to check the audio. Let me just quickly. Zoom keeps changing all their layouts, and now
they do, don't they?
Yeah, it always ends up being on the side that you're not sharing where the actual part is. So that always helps. So let's do this again. There we go. And you should be able to hear us. Let me know if you can't.
Can't see it just yet.
You can't see, okay.
What, first thing, security I've got up. Is that right?
No.
Or are you saying wrong thing? Sorry.
Yeah, I think so. You had it right before. Yeah.
There we go.
On the top one, I guess. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's just make sure.
Here in your portal, you'll find a list of user roles that you have access to. And
very quiet.
Firstly, you've got the...
Sorry about that. I think it's just recorded quite quiet. Let me see if I can get the sound up at all, but it is quite quiet.
I think just play it.
I'll sound at this end.
Any questions?
Yeah. So this is just a quick view of what it's going to look like when you set up your user role. So you'll be able to see on the left, you'll have your user sections where you'll have all the users you'll create, and then we'll add that user role section on the left. What you'll have from there is you'll have the general user types that we've set in the product. So you can see here, those are locked there and those are set in the product. So you can go and select that user right. But from there, what you can also do, which is really nice, is you can go in then and edit those user rights. So for example, this user right is locked. So that's just the normal agency kind of user. Same as for client restricted. But then what it allows you to do is then you can go and create your own roles. So we've given you the freedom to create your own roles. Plus, we've also given, you'll see there's also a little copy all permissions. So you'll be able to copy the permissions from a specific role that you have, so either created or one of our saved ones. And then from there, you can go and copy that existing one across from the set, the default ones, and then you can go and make changes after that. So we've made it so you can include any new ones, but you can also just rely on the existing ones and make changes from that. So it just simplifies the process versus having to start from, step one, for example. Okay. So yeah, really nice and easy. Yeah, go Lee.
I was just going to clarify, Colin, that it's a preset basically. So you click to create a new role, and then you can set it to be like admin or client restricted, and then from there you can edit. It just saves you a bit of time with all the clicking.
100%. Yeah, I think it's really nice. It just means you can use that role and change just one or two things that maybe the specific client of yours needs, which it does simplify it. It makes it quite nice and easy. So yeah, so we've obviously started building out the look and feel. I know Matt's busy just setting up some of the stuff on the back end. We will give you an update on when we expect things to go for this to go live. We don't have a date yet, I don't believe, Luke. But at least you'll have a view of kind of the flexibility of the new user roles. So like we said, creating your own or working off what is the default ones and making changes from there. Okay.
Just a couple more things to mention. I'm sure you guys might have questions, but you can see there that you can put people in multiple roles as well. So if you want to have as few roles as possible, but have multiple variations, then that can work quite well. In terms of release, it's getting pretty close now, so it shouldn't be too far away at all. But yeah, any questions?
Yeah, didn't quite follow that process though. So effectively we have, so users will be a list of users, is that correct? And we'll see all of the users, but when a client logs in, they'll just see obviously the users that are assigned to them. Is that?
So nothing will change on the user side. So in a client, let's say you put a site within a client, which is the best way of doing it, you'll just see the people within that client. This is literally just about the roles. So you can either use the roles that we've already got, or you can create new ones effectively. So you can just create variations of these different access rights.
Okay. Are we, because the thing we're also still waiting for is kind of simple things like I had a client who had a bad lever recently and urgently needed after we'd closed to remove a user and couldn't do that. Have we got that kind of power built into you say it's a separate system, so obviously not, but can we have allowing clients to add users and take away users and so on and so forth?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably more important than this bit as a first step.
I mean, it's probably quite a lot easier to do that. I think we thought that people wanted the user roles functionality first and were happy sort of just contacting us to do the manual processes for now. But yeah, it makes total sense. Once we've got this, then we can allow you to set who can control those kind of additional rights. So if you then want to create a role where clients can add and remove users, you'd be able to do that. So yeah, we'll just make sure that that's either tacked on the end or follows very closely.
Yeah. I mean, just being able to kind of add and take away their own people would be such a boon, because I mean, obviously it must be a pain in the ass for you if clients come and go and so on and so forth. We just need to be able to delete things ourselves.
Yeah,
it's not ideal, but our general rule, as you know, is to try and help remove hurdles first. So user roles we believe is something that you guys actually need, like fundamentally need, whereas we can help you with the other problem. But yeah, we'll definitely do both, and if there's a high need for that, we'll get it up the list.
Yeah, I think it's just been one of those things that lots of people have been asking for for quite some time, and I thought it was going to be part of user roles, because the most important thing on a user role is to take the user off. To be honest,
that's probably the like we always want feedback. That's great feedback, and it makes total sense to add that in. So I would hope that we can add that into the
Yeah, it's one of those things, and you'll
Part
tell
of
me
this.
no, actually, it's not. But it's one of, looking in, it's like surely that's easy to do of all the things. You know, kind of
Yeah,
user
yeah.
roles complicated, adding and taking away a user really quite simple. But
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'm
it's
sure
the case with other
they never
things.
are as simple as you think they are for various reasons, are they? But
Yeah, there's
but yeah,
probably a bit more to it, but yeah, it shouldn't
yeah,
be too bad, and it should definitely be something we enable you guys to do. So yeah, not a problem.
cool, fantastic, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I've made a note there, and I'll give the feedback to Matt after the session. So, and we can get some answers from him around that. Okay, but yeah, so that's
Specifically,
yeah.
I was just going
Okay,
to say,
for Ross.
will user roles have an impact on the pricing model as well?
No impact to you. I mean, it opens up a lot of doors for what you could do with the product now. So you could lock it down to clients, and you could actually charge them more on feature basis if you wanted to. So
Yeah.
you could end up creating sub products that don't use all of the Siteglide feature set, and you can hide it and stuff. So,
Yep.
but we won't. We're usage based. We're never going to charge you for access or anything like that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think just to get a bit more conversation going in terms of maybe feedback that's helpful for us, trying to give you an idea of what it doesn't do, I guess. You can just go back to the video just so it's there, Matt. Sorry, Colin. So the kind of things you'll see in the list of tick boxes, at the moment, it will be things like having access to creating web apps, creating web app items, deleting general CRUD stuff. But it won't be specific web apps as an example. That would obviously be something that would need to come later. So just trying to give you a clear idea of what's coming. It's the general kind of how the user roles are set up currently, but just allowing you to create your own combination of tick boxes, if that makes sense. If there's a particular need beyond that, I think it would be, obviously doesn't have to be now, but let us know if you can really think of one that's really important and urgent.
Yeah, looks really good though. You know, aside from if we can get those other bits, really really powerful and really useful. And as you say, actually, you know, pre Siteglide back in the BC days, we did build differently for e-commerce and so on and so forth with the modules, and obviously haven't done that since. But yeah, we might well swing back, particularly for the two that scream it are the web apps and the e-commerce side of things to do those separately potentially, and have lower plans for. We've got a few sites that could almost be static for the way they use them, but.
I think even if it's not part of your pricing model, I remember we all found with BC, if somebody saw there was a CRM in there, they'll say something like, "Oh, can you remove that and I pay less?" Like it can sometimes work against you that there's too much functionality in there, so you can kind of lock that down now.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other point, while I remember, what was it? User roles on there. No, it's gone. I'll let you know if I think of it.
Perfect. So we'll keep you updated and let you know when this should be going live in the product. And then thanks for the feedback, Nick. We'll give the feedback to Matt and just understand, if he can fit it in or how best to manage it. But we'll let you know about that as well. Okay. The next topic for the session is just around the new and old site plans. So just talking around switching to the new unit models. Luke, do you just want me to open from there and you want to take it from here?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Obviously, I think everybody on the call, you're already on Reseller, so this is somewhat less relevant, but it's actually still useful as you might use this to base your own plans and how you resell Siteglide to customers. But so Reseller obviously is the new way where you get one bill for all of your sites, and then you can kind of resell it however you want. The site plans model is when either you don't want Reseller or you just have one or just a few sites really. So it's a replacement of the old normal usage-based plans that we had that had all the units individually. So, sorry, all the metrics. So you had database objects, emails, storage, and API calls, all individual with individual limits. And obviously it was a bit frustrating if you go over on one, you end up having to pay overages or upgrade. So yeah, these just simplify that down into a metric called units, and you've got a total limit. So I think I was explaining to someone the other day, they don't map exactly to the old plans. So taking launch, for example, launch used to be $125 but it had more effective allowance if you added all the different things up. But the big difference there is you'd rarely ever use all of each of the metrics. So you've now got 5,000 to use across everything rather than 2,000 here, 2,000 there, whatever it might be. So yeah, for anybody that's watching probably the recording and either has sites on the older model of plans or when looking at new sites, yeah, the main concept that's changed is units just simplifies everything and gives you a lot more flexibility. And just chat to us if you've got any questions about what either plan to move existing sites onto or if you're putting new sites live. Any questions from you guys on this? I know it's not too relevant, but thought there might be a point here. I don't know if you plan to use these as the basis for your own plans, but yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, when we approach clients, we kind of map this effectively with our own pricing, including support. Is there somewhere where there's a definitive list of what a unit is? So
on the main
obviously
website,
a web app item is a unit and so on and so forth. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Oh, right. If you just open up the main site, Colin, just siteglide.com.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was.
It's under, yeah, it should
I think if
mention
you
on
mean
the pricing.
Yeah, just so the customers can see it as well, potentially, if they use this as a reference point. We've hidden away some of the plans because it just gives you guys a bit more flexibility on how you resell it. But if you scroll down a little, Colin, to what are units, we've got a description there.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
database.
but it doesn't say that
doesn't.
A database item is 1 unit, and email
Yeah.
is still 1 unit. I say because storage. Am I right in saying a megabyte is different to?
Yep.
No, it's still 1 unit, isn't it? Because it's a megabyte. Not
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bit it
so long
doesn't
since
say
people refer to megabytes, I'm thinking I forget how tiny they are.
The bit it doesn't say, to answer your previous question, Nick, is it doesn't tell you what like a module item. So yeah, module items, CRM items, web app items, all those kind of things fall under records as they previously did as well.
Yeah, and pages
you guys
obviously
probably
exactly the same.
Storage
and do
pretty much
images?
Only, yeah.
Images are just storage. They don't have an item per image, do they? Or
No, just storage.
Yeah.
Unless you're
cool.
using.
Okay.
Maybe
So I just need to get our own wording
right,
right, just to make sure we kind of map that correctly moving forward. It's certainly a lot better from our point of view and a client point of view in terms of simplicity. So yeah,
good.
Great. Probably the next question then is: do we have a field in the back of the system that then shows how many total units a site is currently using in the same way we had that before? Forgive me, it probably does. I haven't looked, I must admit, so I might be asking the obvious here.
But that will it's a good question, because we do have that, but I think that's where we come on to reseller feedback. Is I think we still need to do a little bit there to determine what you want to show to customers. So if you're on reseller plan, we can help discuss with you what you actually want them to see. That's a bit tricky because obviously you might sell it very differently. So we want to show as little as possible, but enough.
Yes, yeah. Cool.
But yeah,
Rox, I think you were going to ask a question. Oh, I think you're muted though.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to do with images. So media downloads, I'm pretty sure count towards records, though, don't they? So
that's what I wasn't sure about. I think a media download is a database item, yes.
Yeah.
So I think that would count that and storage.
Yep.
Perfect. But yeah, so everyone who is watching the recording, if you want to discuss anything around the packages, like Luke said, just reach out to us if you have any questions, and then we can answer or recommend a preferred package to move to if you want to, or for your clients. So yeah, just let us know and pop us, get hold of us. Okay.
Just quickly before you leave that, actually,
Yeah.
Colin, sorry, that last page, yeah. Commercially, we've tried to make sure Siteglide is, I think we've said this many times, but make sure Siteglide is accessible for any kind of project. So we've tried to offer a lower starting point. Previously, it was $50 a month. Now it's 25. But obviously, that's only going to be for a pretty static site or something like that. So, and we've also, to avoid complication and to give you guys more flexibility, we've only shown those 2 plans on this page effectively. So, yeah, you can basically explain to people that's either static basic website or something that you can actually work with. So it hopefully gives you flexibility on pricing. You've got a good range there, but it actually does mean that people can get started. They don't have to see it as an expensive sort of starting point. It's a tricky balance to not make pricing or markup for you guys hard, while also making sure that it's attractive.
Yeah.
And the last point, I think, on anything to do with plans and billing, you're probably going to mention it, Colin, but storage we've temporarily paused the billing of storage while we were checking some of the stats with Platform OS and checking the data, but that will be tracked again and charged properly from 1st of October. So if you are over on any sites, if you got any overages or whatever extra usage from 1st of October onwards, that would be included in the as like overages or extras in the November bill. But there should be no effect there, really. I mean, it's something that would always have been charged. We're just making sure that that's properly back in the flow. Obviously, if you're on the new units model, then it just counts as a normal unit. If you're already on reseller, it's been included the whole time anyway, so there's no difference there.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Luke. But yeah, so that's everything around just some of the new, just around the new and old pricing and switching to the new unit models. The next part we want to go through is just, like we said, the Siteglide and Sitegurus, how we want to make it easier for agencies to get to utilize Sitegurus when needed. We've got a bit of a nice little thing here that Luke put together, and you can take over, Luke.
Sure. Yeah, just a few things really. I mean, we really always want to make sure that Sitegurus is completely optional, but we want it to actually be there and more obvious for the people that could benefit from it. And I think we've hidden it away in the past. So it's just trying to get a balance of making sure it's accessible, but making sure it doesn't hinder you guys at all. Obviously, we do not want it to have any counterproductive angles. So if you just go on to the next page, so the first thing is we've kind of rebranded it along the lines of Siteglide. So if you just go back to the previous one, sorry, Colin, I'll ask you to scroll down again. Just scroll up a bit.
There we go.
You'll see there that the logo is now using the Siteglide font, and it's sort of more in line. So that's just to make sure that it's not this completely separate concept and thing that you have to go and explore. It's very clunky at the moment. You'd have to go and contact Sitegurus completely separately, and it's just causing some confusion. So that's hopefully going to simplify that side of things. If you go down again, Colin. So yeah, rebranded it to keep that, but obviously keep it different with the green. What we've done now on support is we've tried to make it a bit more seamless, because quite often we've found that people need a little bit of help at first, and you have to go completely separately and have the same conversation twice, potentially, around a really simple thing. So the Siteglide chat tool is now also being, if you've got that picture, is now also being used for Sitegurus, but we segmented all, and we've got teams. Both teams are in there, but running it all separately. So that just means that if somebody has a challenge, a technical challenge, rather than us saying go away and go and speak to these people, we can keep it all in one thread and keep the conversation going there. Now, obviously, why we hadn't done that in the past, and the thing that we definitely want feedback from you guys, is making sure that that doesn't have any impact on like end customers and impact on your business or anything like that. So what we have done there, if you just go back to the slide, is Sitegurus is aimed at agencies. We only want to assist agencies getting the most out of the platform, and that's something that I want to work together with any feedback to ensure that we do. So there needs to be some sort of public offering. It just needs to be visible, but we basically want to show that if you're not an agency, it's not for you, and make it just, you can't really access anything, or if you can, it's just to get some basic help, and then we'd obviously want people to find, or we'd refer to the most relevant agency in their geographical location, perhaps. So point 4 is the agency model. So all of the things that we've sort of built into Sitegurus in terms of different membership pricing based on how much help you need, the different services, free things in the marketplace like Site Builder, all of that we're going to make sure is behind the scenes for agencies only. Yeah, and we really want to do more along those lines. We want to make sure that it's a really beneficial setup for everybody. So you can use tools like Site Builder, but then you can get some extra help customizing it if you need to, rather than be completely on your own to get the most out of it and work it out. So just assistance on top of alongside the platform is the key, without it becoming like too much. We want you guys to be working with end clients and being the people that end customers speak to. It's definitely not something we want to do, and not in our interest. So hopefully that makes some sense. Obviously, it is just a starting point for how we set that up properly and hide things away, perhaps. And any feedback at this stage would be really, really helpful.
Yeah, just let us know if you have any questions or any things around that you can think of. And like Luke said, it always helps just to understand how, if you feel there's certain things that problems we might cause or face, and we can just look at how to prevent that. I think that's the main thing. And at the same time, like we said, with Sitegurus and us using the same kind of support channel, is we'll always just try and make sure we'll always go and check which site this is linked to, and then try to rope in the agency from there. So that's always quite a crucial part as well. Okay.
Just a bit more detail on that. We've obviously got the data of the logged in users, so we can see who's an agency and who's not. So we would only send Sitegurus specific information or help to a logged in Siteglide reseller, effectively. Yeah. And then we just need a channel to direct people to agencies that want to receive leads if they're end customers. I mean, if you don't need to use it, then it's probably not relevant, really. But I think hopefully it's a good thing to at least have it there as an option if you come up against something really, I don't know, really challenging technically, or where actually you need to enhance the platform or do something on top, perhaps directly with GraphQL or sort of more platform OS related stuff. And anything there you think feedback wise that might be useful for us?
Yeah, we did have an incident, I think it was last week, where somebody kind of came through to support. It was actually a marketing agency who were tinkering with the back of the site, shall we say, and breaking it, which is interesting. And they were kind of then coming through to you guys rather than I think they they kind of for some reason wanted to work around us rather than actually approach us, maybe because we'd flagged with the client that they'd absolutely destroyed the site. But yeah, I mean, which I don't mind per se, but yeah, it just made me think, oh, it's interesting. They've because they're like, oh well,
Yeah.
Siteglide have said this and Siteglide have done that, and I was like, okay, that's interesting
It's
that
a
that's
really
happened.
tricky
Now,
one.
obviously, they are an agency, and
Yes.
I absolutely get it from your point of view that if you can impress them, you can get a new client to work with.
Oh,
But,
it's not even
and
that.
then there may
Really.
even be a client. I don't know.
No, not at all. But this is a great topic, and this is something that we should try and solve with your input. Is we just don't want to give bad service. If somebody has access to something and they've been given access by the
Yeah,
client,
absolutely.
then it's a little tricky in terms of what we do. But I think our general rule, I mean, it was and it still is that we refer them back to the owner of the site, which really is you. In that case, you're managing it for your client, and they were referred back to you, and then they came back and said they couldn't get the help they needed, and then there should be a little bit more dialogue.
They hadn't actually approached us at all.
I didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So I think actually
we told them several times not to go in and tinker with stuff, and exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Destroyed the site, took down the homepage, and all kinds of things that were way above their capability.
So I think actually in this scenario, with that in mind, I think even more integration to be able to quickly get discussion on those kind of things. So maybe Discord, the sort of team channel, is a good place for that kind of thing. But yeah, all those kind of processes of what we want to try and work out at the moment, and the best way to do it is with live examples like that. So
but for every live example where that's the right thing to do, there'll be one where it's the wrong thing to do, won't it? You know, there'll be a client that comes on at 9 o'clock at night who genuinely hasn't managed to get hold of us, and it'd be lovely if they can be assisted in their moments of need. So yeah, you know, I'm not kind of pointing any fingers. It's just a difficult one to one to deal with, but yeah.
I mean, from our perspective, the honest answer is we don't really want to be doing it. We want to support agencies because the benefit there is that we deal with one team across maybe 100 sites, and you guys know it incredibly well, and we work directly with you, and we give you the best support possible. So we do occasionally get end clients somehow find their way to us as well and say they need some help and whatever. The more we can make sure we've got a good process to getting them back to you, the better for everybody, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. As soon as something becomes billable, they'll ask someone else, won't they? And,
yeah.
And
again, that's where we want to make sure Sitegurus, just quickly on that topic, is a little bit prohibitive, really. We want Sitegurus to be really affordable for agencies, but if we do have to have a public-facing element, we're going to make sure that it's not attractive to an end customer and not even appropriate. The whole point with Sitegurus is you have to know the site, the strategy, the platform well enough to ask someone to do something. And I think end clients generally are not capable of that, and we don't even want to be trying to do that. So I think in most cases there's absolutely no crossover. We just want to make sure from your perspective we're listening and setting it up the best way we can.
Yeah, cool.
Good. Yeah, feel free to think it over, and if you think of anything, just fire it across as usual.
Yeah. The only other thing within Sitegurus is we've just been talking about user roles within the platform. I think all my guys just log in as me on Sitegurus, and I don't know if that needs looking at. And then I think we owe you some money as well, because I think my guys have kind of carried on having a conversation and haven't even had credits for it. But yeah, I don't know if it's not a thing. It's not an urgent thing, but kind of moving forward, if there are kind of roles within Sitegurus and something to flag back to me that we need some more budgets and so on and so forth, that would be that would be useful. Sometimes our internal conversations on people quite rightly just get things done, which is great, but yeah, it's maybe something for the future in there.
No, that's actually something I forgot to mention. So thanks for bringing that up. So Matt and Josh are working together to try and make it a bit more seamless. And what we will likely have is a button in portal that only shows if you're a Siteglide agency, and it would be a button to essentially open up Sitegurus, either in a modal or take you out to the site and automatically log you in based on the fact that we know you've got an account with both under the same email address. So once we get the users synced up properly by email and ID,
we can look at that.
We can then also, we can also do teams, and we plan to do that. So Sitegurus will also have an agency ID, the Siteglide agency ID as well, which means then we can group you guys together. So you can then share tasks a bit like we now have in support tickets. So I think we'll then have, a much better setup, and it should just be far more seamless to use.
Yeah, fantastic.
Perfect.
Cool.
Do you want to, Luke, do you want me to show the membership side, or leave that for now?
You can quickly, this would be more around the pricing. So we're going to make sure that if there is anything public, or if a customer ends up asking for some help because they can't get it elsewhere, the rate would be very, it'd be the full price. Will help you, but it's just ad hoc support. And then obviously for agencies, it's more about ongoing work and doing helping you more. So the rate coming down a lot based on how much help you need. So not too much to say there, and probably best done not on won't do too much on a more public video. So yeah, just trying to let you know that there'll be a completely different model for agencies versus if people get in touch the other way, sort of through the website.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, I think that's everything really.
Perfect. Yeah, so I think the next real topic is just around the new reseller model, and we just wanted to get any additional feedback from you guys on how you're experiencing it. Are you hitting any pain points? Are there any sort of frustrations to share with us, or any ideas? We would love to hear.
Yeah, bar what I've already covered. The only thing that would be nice at some point is having a having a route where we can alert the end user how many units they're using, which level they're in with our models and things, and mapping that across. But even if it just sent, let them know once a month how many units they're using, that would be useful to have. But beyond that, I can't. Everything is fine so far, but then I'm the guy who hasn't been billed for 3 months, so everything would be fine. So it's either August or September, our bills will start rolling in again, so it'll be a lot more painful then. But no, it'll be
just in case anybody's worried about favoritism there. That's just a case of paying loads of annual bills in advance.
They're all 12 monthly ones, so
yeah.
I can relate to that too, Nick. And actually, Luke, I was just wondering, is it possible? It's hard to get the data out. I mean, I don't mind getting the data off the screens, because I've got my own Airtable report where I manage my plans. So it'd be good if we could somehow just get a CSV out. I'm having to sort of scrape the data at the moment. And I'm also not sure how much more credit I have, which would also be good to know.
Yeah, sure. We always plan to focus on the data next, rather than, I think if we go down the route of building a certain UI or sending emails out, we're never going to get it right for everybody. So I think what we will do and move on to, if it's more urgent than some other stuff, would be getting you that data in. Probably we'll make it available in JSON or something like that first. It makes more sense that we can just pass it to you, or you can request it and then do something with it. But obviously CSV is a bit more usable. So I think when we get onto that, we'll probably really have a chat with you guys and work out the best way to use it without too much work at your end. So as an example, even if there was a Zap or something that would get it into a Google Sheet, or if there was, something really obvious where we can pass you the data and then you can do what you want with it. I think we'll try and do that first. We do definitely have to look. Sorry, Liz?
So API to Google Sheets would be perfect, actually. from my point of view. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the bit we still need to consider separately to that is surfacing it in the UI somewhere. Like you still might want to show customers some of that information. I do think we'll need a discussion around what we show and then what we provide to you separately as data.
I guess I looked at that as I would be preparing that information for showing to my clients rather than needing an interface in the system to show
Great.
to them at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with Rox on that too. I keep a lot of that from my clients until we have a problem where I need to move up a plan, and then I'll prepare something for them. And I didn't even show them the old screens before that we had.
Yeah, I mean, with user roles, you can basically turn all of that off now. It'll be very granular, but we probably will include something for the people that don't want to do it manually and separately. So I think we'll do both of those, just because I think there's going to be two quite clear use cases. But yeah, on the data route, we'll just make sure that we make it as easy as possible for you to do your own reporting to customers.
Yeah, for me, what would be great is if, like, we've got the breakdown of usage per site. If that just could be exported as a CSV, would be perfect. And then,
Okay.
Maybe it has an extra column for each of the different areas, which is the calculation of the price for each of them. But that's that we would then. So how we work is we use things like Power BI and that sort of stuff, and provide most of our Siteglide clients with a monthly Power BI based report that tells them how their site's performing, SEO and all those sorts of things. And
cool.
And yeah, we could add this into there if that was needed, sort of thing. So
yeah, again, that's why I think we'd rather make the data accessible in a standard format, because those kind of tools might be able to suck it in anyway and save you.
Yeah,
the bit I'm concerned about is you having to do lots of manual CSV work, because things like upgrades and usage, you're effectively paying us for that. And I think we want to make it so that you don't have to do manual reporting on whether a client's plan should have gone up. Ideally, we can give you the data in a way that you can get an instant notification when you need to be going back to a client, and even potentially automatically increasing their plan.
But ultimately, there's no such thing as a plan at the moment. We've got
no, but in terms of with the end customer, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but I think that those plans that you guys have become, they might form a basis of whatever we do as partners, but ultimately we're going to have, or resellers, what Liz has and Nick has could be completely different products, or plans to what I have, sort of thing, because we've decided to package it up in a different sort of a way. So yeah, I would have thought that was more our end. I think that you've given us this really flexible way to share costs across the things. Part of my business model needs to be to, come up with some products so I can give clients some clear idea of what things are going to cost based on expectations of, records and storage and those sorts of things, and then manage the relationship with them ongoing. Just like if I was using AWS or Azure or something like that, if the database suddenly goes nuts, that's going to cost a whole lot more money. I've got to have a plan before that happens of how I'm going to bill my client, rather than go back to them and say, look, your database went nuts. I need to charge you $3,000 this month that you weren't expecting. That's more our end. We got to, I think, look after that sort of stuff.
Totally agree, and that's why we want it to be as flexible as possible for you guys to bill it however you want. The only thing we want to try and do is not find that all of you are having to do all this extra manual work when we could have just provided X. So if there is an obvious automation that we can do for you guys, so that you can then manage it however you want your end to know.
Like I said, a standard
we'll work on that
CSV,
together.
a standard
Okay.
structured CSV that we can be putting into our own template or our own ongoing process, whatever, would be great, I reckon.
That's probably the easiest thing for us to do first. So yeah, makes sense. If that suits most people, then yeah, we'll do that.
It probably also gives someone an opportunity to create maybe a module that is a cost calculator module for the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Cool.
The other thing that worries me too at the moment, I just remembered, is if a site has, a form that's gone crazy, how do we know that that one has gone crazy without looking at the moment? Do you have any alerts in your system, or are we able to have an alert if some site's gone over a certain usage?
But that's kind of what I'm getting at is I think more than just providing you historical data, we need to look at more real-time stuff as well. Like, yeah, if we could provide you with, I don't know, either we provide you just with the data feed and then you guys can put something in place that would notify you. But yeah, that's what needs more discussion, I think, about notifications and easy access of the data.
Mm-hmm.
So forms, aren't they protected to some extent by Platform OS? If there's a
capture.
Yeah, well, not just capture, they would have a WAF or something like that, wouldn't they? That is, so you're not going to suddenly get a million form entries.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't get any US attacks or anything like that. But spam is obviously it's an ongoing battle, and there can be clever new things that come along. But yeah, as long as you have HCapture on, you shouldn't have increases like that. But then it could just be that the customers had done a campaign and they've got 1,000 inquiries in a few days. It doesn't mean it's bad usage. It's just you might want to know about it and be notified about it quicker.
I mean, certainly having an alert, some alert metrics that we can set, if domains isn't going to go over, but if records on particular site goes over 300 or 10,000 or whatever it is, send me an email sort of thing. That would be good. Will this
idea, actually, we could let you set it.
Will this sort of stuff be available via the API as well?
Well, that's what I'm thinking we should do. Is maybe the first thing is give you the CSV, so you can at least be doing manual stuff. Then the next thing would be API or webhook or Zapier or whatever it is, something that gives you the ability to do real-time stuff and notifications.
Yep. Yeah, I think all that feedback makes sense, Luke. I think just around how we track, report, analyze kind of the changes on the site. So I've made notes and I'll get some feedback to Matt internally. Nick, just the one that you brought up there, was that more notifications for the actual end user, the client, or was that more for yourself?
I mean, it'd just be lovely if it could just each month ping them an email with their usage, because what we find is people, we've only had to do a few kind of upgrades, but they're completely in the dark as to the units they use, and just being able to ping them something. And again, if the data is available as a Zap potentially, then we can do that. But yeah, having the ability to just ping them a monthly email just to let you know this is how many units you've used, then there's no surprises.
Yeah, it's like a bit of just a bit of a preempt, basically, if things are changing or they just see a bit of change and they can go back. That makes sense. So
yeah.
Okay. No, that's perfect. I think that's some good feedback, and we'll take it back and look at that as well. And then we'll just need to map out like Luke said, what is the first thing to do? Is it just a CSV? How are we going to do it? And then also how we can share the usage metrics. So notifications on certain metrics getting higher. That makes sense. Okay.
I think logically in my head, just to summarize where I've been with it, is we give you some tools within the product. CSV is an obvious one from the UI. Then we create an API or a way of getting the data out and people being able to do whatever they want with the data. And I think the third step is creating probably an open source way of using that data. So if either a collaboration or if we end up building like a notifications tool that takes the data from the API and does X, Y, and Z. And if we give that to you guys as an open source end product, you guys can then do your own versions of it and you can link it into your existing tools or whatever. So I think I'd rather take it out of Siteglide and make it something that is very flexible and customizable and repeatable.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Luke, just going back to that.
We'll probably start.
Sorry.
Go
Yeah,
ahead, Liz.
Luke. Just the issue again with unexpected high usage. Is it simple to maybe on a reseller approach? Like, I'd only be worried about if all my clients collectively went over a certain usage. Is that something easy that could be done sort of fairly quickly? Because that's sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh, I hope everything's all right. Because I
just don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. It might help.
Sorry, must do the lag. Because we have to go and look at the moment, it'd be good if we could get some sort of notification.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. The problem again is what is the trigger? Like for you, it might be that all sites are over. For someone else, it might be a 1% increase. Like, we'll have to look at that and work out the best way of controlling it, I think. But again, I think if we pull it out of the product, then that's something that you would be able to customize and take further. So the API route is likely to be the best longer term.
The good bit is the more data we use, the cheaper it gets.
Yeah, hopefully.
I've got another question about the reseller model, and it relates to the agency annual agency fee. How does that work? Is there any changes with that?
Yeah, we're still kind of overhauling that side, and I think sort of replaced the concept of agency and agency pro with agency and expert reseller programs. And they just have like a minimum spend threshold and technically some other criteria that you need to meet to be able to go into one of those models. So we will likely not have any cost of those going forwards, but we're just sort of finalizing all of that at the moment. So you shouldn't have any additional costs going forwards for being a reseller.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, we want to make it simple, and we want to encourage you guys to do more, and if you are, then reward you with the lower usage rates. So yeah, making it more positive than it was.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. So unless there's any more questions around the reseller model, but you're always free to contact us directly as well on your Discord channels or in the chat bot. But reach out if you do have any further questions. Is there, just to get to any other business stage, I know we're getting close to, we've just gone over the hours. Is there any other general business queries you guys have or would like to share? If you want to share publicly, unless you want to chat to us directly.
When you say business, as in not reseller, any is it anything you mean? Any other business?
Yes,
cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Hang on,
Anything
I'll get my list out.
Get your list.
No, I've got, and I don't think it's even a Siteglide question. It's just something we've never had to do before. So it's probably, has anyone done this? Is there some guidance? So we're still a bit stuck. We've still got one bit that we had with BC that we haven't got with Siteglide, and that's the ability to print an order from the back end of the site. And I just wondered if, because I'm pretty sure we can get the data and do something. I've just never printed from a site, never generated a PDF. Not that it needs to be a PDF, but it could just be a printable page. But yeah, it kind of route to achieve that, purely because lack of knowledge in that area.
We did we've got a couple of sites that are what we call a product information management system. And so it's a bit more involved than e-commerce. It's not actually e-commerce. It's more inside the business, being able to manage all of the data around the products so that you can send information out to your sales team, or if you've got merchants that are selling your products, so it's typically for manufacturers or wholesalers or distributors sort of thing. And it's like key usages with technical equipment. So it could be engineering equipment, it could be things like a car, it could be, so the car firms use it quite a lot. It's used a lot in the food industry as well, where you've got to know about all the different nutritional or additives and all those sorts of things. And this idea of having a technical data sheet that goes with each product, which typically is a PDF or something like that. And they're typically manually created. Well, once you've got all that data, we wanted to create a technical data sheet. And so we've gone a little bit old school and used, print media style, or, CSS, and created, not elaborate looking things, but they're probably not much worse than a Stripe type of document.
But have you done that from the front? This is the front end you're talking about.
Yeah, so we have a layout that we use, and it's a print layout. And
because I would know how to lift front end data into a print layout. That would be fine. It's kind of creating that from data in the back end of the site at a click of a button, effectively. So
so I mean, we're using web app data, but you should be able to get to some of that from the. I haven't done any e-commerce inside Siteglide, but I have done in BC, so I know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure order data is available in the front end. I don't think it would be, would it?
That'd be the first thing to check. If it is, then as you say, as you said, Rox, you should be able to do a front-end secure zone route or just a page. But you could also do custom UI to put it in the back end if you wanted. If it was a back end user that needs to do it. The other point is, if it isn't available currently in the front, on the front end, you should still be able to do it with GraphQL. So that's something that somebody should be able to surface that data, I would have thought. But yeah, that's a great question. Probably ask us either in developers in Discord or in your team channel, and we'll let you know what you can currently do and what you might need to use GraphQL for.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
But I would have just generally with those kind of things. It's back to the point really on something else we were talking about. If you user roles, basically, if user roles don't give you the flexibility you need to limit stuff, then you've always got front end secure zone login, where you can give people exact control of what they can see and do, and you can put it in the back end using a custom UI. So while that's obviously not the ideal route for something really, really simple, if you're building out an app or something more complex.
Yeah, cool. I'll get the guys to have dig a bit further. I haven't even pushed them onto it yet. It's just it just came up with we've got this one client with e-commerce who's still bleating about it not being exactly the same as I mean, why he can't get his print his email off, I do not know, because we can customize that. He just doesn't like it. But we've also got somebody we were chatting to recently who's got a kind of back end which we do as a secure zone that wants to do PDF and so on and so forth, which I know we can do from there. But yeah, so it's just working out all those potential routes.
The other thing that
Cool.
we've done as
Thanks,
well
Rox.
is I've got another site which is like more a portal type of site, and long story short, it sort of it manages people completing surveys, and then it collects all the data from the surveys and then actually produces a PDF report from the data that we have inside Siteglide. How we do that is we use Azure a lot, so we've got an Azure function that goes and gets the data out of Siteglide and then creates a PDF using is it PyPDF, I think, and yeah, that works really well. I mean, it's an outside of Siteglide, but we do quite a advanced sort of report. There's a lot of coding in it, but once you've got the basic structure, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Rox. I'll have a look at that one.
Yeah, thanks for the input there, Rox. I think it always helps. Any other questions from anyone else that we can assist with?
Sorry, I've just got one more if we've got time. I've just noticed we've got Apple and Google Pay, is available on a lot of payment forms. There's also something around now called Shop. Have you heard of that? So one with
Shop is part of Shopify.
Shopify, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm sort of worried any day now that my clients someone's gonna ask for it. There was talk a while back about having Google Pay and Apple available. Is that something still on I haven't looked actually on the plan.
We've built it. We've rolled it out for our first client. We're just rolling out for our second clients with the help of Sitegurus. I just need to speak to the guys to make it into a module, I think.
Right. Oh, perfect, Nick. Good. Because I just worried. I've just noticed that Shop. I've been online the last couple of months, with personal purchase. I thought, hello, here it is again. And I've actually tried it out now. So I thought, well, Apple and Google Pay must do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, Shop is, to all intents and purposes, Shopify's answer to kind of speeding up that checkout process. But I think Stripe's. What's the Stripe one called, Luke?
Checkout.
That's
the web version. That's their own, Link. Do you mean? No.
Link. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So that effectively does the same as Shopify Shop, doesn't it? So effectively, what people are doing is they're using a login to the payment platform, the same with Google Pay and Apple Pay, to store the delivery details and pre-populate the forms and so on and so forth. So yeah, they're all basically ways of speeding up the checkout process. But yeah, kind of using Link will do that with Stripe, but also we've decided on pushing people down the Google Pay, Apple Pay routes because, to be honest, that covers all the browsers.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I haven't heard or seen the Link one, and
there's also Amazon Pay. We haven't done an integration with Amazon Pay, but also Amazon are one where you can then pay with the details stored and you just log into Amazon, or if you're already logged into Amazon on your browser, you can choose Amazon Pay, same as Google Pay, Apple Pay. Yeah.
Just to mention on Link, actually, we actually had somebody contact us on support a little while back because they just had suddenly someone purchase something or try to purchase something and claim that they got an email from, I think it would have been, I can't remember who sent the email, but anyway, it was basically Link. It was basically Link was being used on the site, and it's actually something that in your Stripe account is on by default, I believe, and you would actually have to turn off if you don't, or your customer in their Stripe account would have to turn off if they don't want it available. I can't really see any downside to it, but if you don't know about it, it is on by default from what we can tell.
And Stripe are pushing people to utilize it, so they do, I think, 1.2% fee rather than 1.5 on it. So better from that point of view too for the retailer.
Definitely.
Right. Well, thanks for that, because I'll check up on that, because I'm actually just doing a report for a client regarding ways to collect donations. They do it through a payment form, but the board, of course, wants to use a Square, which they don't want, the people who support it. So I'm just writing a report around that, but I'll go and have a look at Link, because they use Stripe currently. So yeah.
I don't know why you'd use Square if you don't have physical POS locations. Like I don't know, Square is mainly for physical.
Yeah, I think it's just
the people we've just put on the client we've just done Apple Pay for were on Square, and we've moved them to Stripe with Apple Pay, Google Pay. Sorry, Liz, talked over you. Forgive me.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's just the client. Some of the people in that business think it looks fancy, but they don't understand all the work that's going to be done at the back end in terms of tracking donations. Where currently it's all within Stripe. So, and they've got multiple bank accounts as well. So complex. Which was great, because Siteglide could handle the different payment gateways for the forms, so that was fantastic.
Cool.
The different, bank patch. Sorry,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's really good to hear now that, like, Nick, you mentioned about doing Apple Pay and then being able to turn that into a module. You've got full access to the sort of payment flow now. So there shouldn't be many scenarios where you can't offer what the client wants, but I still can't really find a reason not to use Stripe in most cases. Even if it works out more expensive in certain examples, it's just the ease of use and the clunkiness of some of the other systems. But really, really good to hear the Apple Pay example, Nick. And if we can help at all with getting that out, let us know.
I know we're quite a bit over past the hour, so I think let's see if there's anything else before we finish off. You can feel free to jump in, but then I think we might just end it here.
Just a quick question, sorry. Automations. There isn't any help documentation about any of the automations other than the email ones.
Yeah.
So that would be handy. And if I send an automation to an external API, does that count as an API call? Or is the API calls where we're calling the Siteglide API?
If you're doing it server side, then effectively that would use an API call. If you're using their browser to do it, then it would not. It's not
if I've got
a clear-cut answer.
So if I've got a form and it has an automation, and the automation is an API, and it's calling an external API, that counts as an API call?
I think that would, because you're doing it server side, yes, because it's sort of back end via the form. I think that would, but drop us a message in Discord or something and we'll confirm that for you.
Yeah, okay. And it'd be great to have some documentation about the two other types of automations, because
perfect. Yeah, I'll make
looks good. Love to use them, but I'm afraid I'll break stuff.
It's frustrating because we released that back. We released that back in November, I think, and I honestly think it's one of the most powerful features of the platform. But we just need to make it more accessible, and we still want to get Zapier connected up that way. At the moment, Zapier is done with polling, where it just looks out for stuff. But being able to do instant zaps using automations would save a whole load of dev work. So there's lots we want to do there. It's just always a case of priorities, and that's why, Nick, we don't end up doing a simple delete button, but we should.
Oh, but even just a little bit of documentation on that would be great to see what we can do. So
yeah,
So-
I'll work on that, Rox, and just chat to Matt and just see what else we can add and just get that at least more stuff to kind of work you through and more examples, and then I'll work on that as well. Okay.
great, thank you.
Perfect.
I'll let you go
Okay.
now.
It's the thing with our lives, isn't it? However hard we kind of throw the buckets out of the boat, there's somebody throwing 2 buckets in at the same time in terms of workload, isn't there? There's always just so much more that needs to be done and can be done, and it's just never ending.
Definitely.
It always helps us when you tell us what buckets to work on, except us not knowing what buckets to work on. So I think that's a big positive. Else you do focusing on buckets that aren't needed. So
yeah. Well, most of my clients pass me colanders to use.
It sounds like normal agency work where small budget, they want everything and don't give you half the information.
Absolutely.
Well, I told you the wrong boat.
Yes.
Oh,
Can you
absolutely.
give me a fixed price, but I'll change the specifications each day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now a yacht.
Yeah, that's always
absolutely.
crazy. Awesome.
Cool.
Everyone, thanks so much for your time, and it's always good to chat and catch up, and it's always good to see that you're all well. But reach out to us if there's anything else on the general groups or your specific channels, and then we'll catch up next month. Okay.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Catch you later.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Ciao. Bye.